Welcome. This is People of AIIAS, and my name is Ginger-Ketting Weller. I'm the president of the Adventist International Institute of Advanced Studies. This is the series where we get to talk with our students and hear their stories. Today, I'm introducing you to Natasha Sinaga. And Natasha, tell us where you're from and what program you're in.
I am from Indonesia, and I am in the PhD in Business program.
PhD in Business.
Yes.
Not so many women in that program, correct?
Yes, not so many women in the program in AIIAS.
Yes, in AIIAS.
Yes.
Well, thank you for coming to talk with us today. Natasha, tell me a little bit about your testimony, your story.
Well, the story that I want to share today is a story that is intertwined with my father's story and my husband's story. So it's a story of how we decided to come to AIIAS. Let me give you a bit of a background. My father wasn't born an Adventist. He converted to become a Seventh-day Adventist when he was studying in UNCLAB. And he told
And
this,
explain what UNCLAB is for
UNCLAB
those who don't know.
UNCLAB is Universitas Klabat. It's an Adventist university in Manado, Indonesia.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where my mom and dad met.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad wasn't a Seventh-day Adventist. He got converted into being an Adventist when he was studying in UNCLAB. And he told this story many times to my brother and I when we were teenagers. So I'll tell this to the most I can that I remember him telling. But when he decided to become an SDA, he faced so many challenges. Resentment from his family, and then financial difficulties. And he started to question God. And he would spend a lot of time in solitude. One time he said he was walking at the back of UNCLAB campus, and he poured out his heart to God. And he asked for a sign whether his decision was right or not. And then after he prayed, he looked up and he saw a big, beautiful rainbow, which he believed was the sign from God. And so when my brother and I were growing up, we encountered a lot of rainbows. Many times when our family were making big decisions or tough times, my father would call us and show us the covenant in the sky, the sign that God is with us. So now to our story, to Akiko and my story. I think it was December 2015, Christmas break. We heard rumors that the company he was working for was going to do downsizing. But we weren't worried because his position as a project accountant was secure. So we were not worried. Then it was January 2016, he said, after a week back in the office, he came home one evening and he said, this downsizing plan the company is doing, it's going to be in several stages. And the first stage is that they are offering early retirement compensation plan to all employees who would be willing to take this benefit. And he said, I'm considering to take it.
And this is your husband at what age was talking about taking a retirement plan?
29, 30, so.
That's unusual.
So I said, no. I was really opposing to that decision. No. Well, I said, why? What is going through your mind? Why do you want to take this early retirement plan? And he said, you know what? Let's resign. I will resign, and we can pursue our education, continue our education. Let's go to AIIAS, he said. And I said, no, I don't want to go back to AIIAS. I did my MBA in AIIAS. I've been there, done that. I said, no, I don't want to. And I had several reasons also. First, that Kiora, our daughter, was just 1 year old. And I was still trying to grasp motherhood.
It's a big adjustment.
Yes. And I've been to AIIAS. I did my MBA. if we were going to study, let's go somewhere else. And we had in our long-term family plan to continue our education, but that was going to be in 2021. So I asked him, why are you fast forwarding our decision? We already said that we want to study in 2021. And the last reason why is that I was so comfortable with our life at that time, because the company provided us a relatively big house, all furniture's provided, air conditioned, heaters, and we didn't have to worry about the bills. His salary was enough, sufficient for us. It was a comfortable life. And I love the friends, the community that we were in. The church was a small church, but we were very close. And so I was enjoying being a stay-at-home mother. I didn't want to let that go. But Akiko said, I'm really convinced that we should go now, but I'll give you a week to think. So we prayed about it, and he gave me a week to think. So that week we prayed together, and then I contemplated. I asked God if this was part of His plan for us to come to AIIAS. I told Him, I'm not ready. I don't want to go back to AIIAS right now. I don't want to study, not now. And I asked for 3 conditions to be met and a sign from God. I told Him that I've always seen a rainbow through my father, and if this was part of the plan, His plan for us, that He would give a rainbow to me, personally to me, to my family, to Akiko, Kiora, and I. And so the 1 week passed. The 3 conditions that I asked were met. And my 1 week time to give a decision to Akiko was almost up, but I was still unsure because I have not seen the sign yet. And so that Friday afternoon, I remembered I was preparing for Sabbath meal. I was in the kitchen, and right after office hours, Akiko was playing in the front yard with Kiora. And when he looked up, in front of our house was a rainbow. It wasn't a full rainbow, it was a half rainbow. He quickly got back inside the house, pulled me out of the kitchen, and he said, there's our sign. So we ended that week welcoming the Sabbath in front of our house, seeing that half rainbow, with a decision that if the company allowed him to take the early retirement plan, that we would go to AIIAS. And so, to make the story short, he was only released 6 months later, June 2016. But it gave us ample time to prepare. We were able to sell our belongings and then said our goodbyes to our friends, visited our parents, and then prepare mentally. So August 1, 2016 was the day we arrived at AIIAS. And we had made an agreement that I would only start studying if Kiora was ready. So Akiko started first. He started taking his courses, but it was only 1 year after, in 2017, mid-2017, that I began my PhD in business journey. And I can tell you, God never failed us. 1 week after we arrived here at AIIAS, we were out on a Sabbath walk. And our second rainbow as a family was given to us. Right there, we saw a big rainbow. It's like God was welcoming us. Welcome to AIIAS. And it was like a promise that He would sustain us. And when I began my PhD in business course in 2017, the business department granted me a scholarship. When that finished, they allowed me to teach several courses. And that helped sustain us financially. Then in 2018, right before Akiko before he started writing his project, he was offered a job in Manila. And so God, it was like always perfect timing.
Needs always covered.
Needs always covered. And right now, while I'm finishing my PhD, the school granted me Chanshun scholarship. And again, it's God's work providing for us. And so there are many times we fail Him. Many times we fail to acknowledge His presence. But I think He never failed us. He's always there. And many times when, it's not only financially, every time we feel that it's too much, we look back and we remember the rainbow. And at times when we walk outside, when we needed it the most, the rainbow comes as an assurance that He's taking care of us. And so I think part of our purpose to come to AIIAS was so that we will have a secure, safe, diverse environment for Kiora, our daughter, to grow up. But it's also our longing to develop a close relationship with God, individually and as a family. And we are still in the process of doing that. We fail Him many times. It's not that He doesn't want to come close to us. It's many times we are the one who fail to come close to Him. But I'm glad that I can say that the rainbow is not only my dad's sign, it's also my sign now. And it was the one thing that convinced us to come to AIIAS. And I don't know what God has in store for us in the future. But knowing that He's always there, I don't think we'll worry a lot.
Yeah,
that's my story.
Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yes.
Talk to me a little bit about how AIIAS has prepared you for leadership, Natasha. I know you've done leadership types of things before you ever came, but what has been your experience here?
There are many things that AIIAS teaches us, many things that I see in AIIAS, but the one thing I appreciate the most is that AIIAS teaches us to see from different perspectives. The interactions that we have with people from diverse backgrounds, from different cultures, has taught me that there's not one singular view of a situation. There's always multiple views. And sometimes we need to step back, get out from our own shoes and see from the perspective of others. And it's important to understand that if we believe people have good intentions, sometimes conflicts are actually the best place to learn something. And that's one thing I appreciate from AIIAS, to learn different perspectives. That a situation can be seen from left, right, front, back, even above like a drone. So that's one thing I appreciate the most. And the next thing that AIIAS has taught me is that I know so little. There's so many I don't knows. I don't know. And my lack of experience only intensifies that. Sometimes I sit in class during our discussions with other classmates. That I feel so, I don't know what they're talking about, But yet at the same time, AIIAS allows you in your minimum capacities to still help and to still do whatever you can. AIIAS allows you to grow. And I think as a leader we need to recognize, I'm glad that I have mentors here. In the graduate school I have mentors, I have teachers who recognizes that even people who don't know, if given the chance, can learn and can grow.
Now, a couple of practical things that you've done. You mentioned that you had taught some classes here. That is a huge vote of confidence in your ability to lead from the faculty in the graduate school. But I think also of the work that you're doing this year, and to mention for those who don't know, scholarships always come with an obligation to give back to the institution through some kind of work assignment.
Yes.
And so tell us a little bit about what you are doing here, which is huge preparation for higher education this year.
This year, as part of my scholarship hours, to meet my scholarship hours, I'm working with closely with Dr. Rosario for the PASCO accreditation. So we prepare exhibits to showcase to the Philippine body of accreditation. And one thing I like about this accreditation process is that the benchmark is AIIAS goal itself. So what we say we want to achieve is what we should do. And to prepare all those evidences gives me a view of the institution as a whole. And to see that there are many administrative responsibilities that we take for granted, that we think, oh, it's so easy. But when you go deep, it's really complicated. And it requires a lot of thinking, you know, all these forms and all this evaluation process. It's a great learning experience, and I'm really glad that I'm given this chance. It's really taxing to do, because then you have to meet all these deadlines when when all these exhibits, these documents must be collected. But at the same time, it gives you a grander view of the Adventist education, of the system. And we see glitches in the system that perhaps can be repaired. But it can be only repaired if everyone comes together and understand the vision and mission of the school. So that's what I think is very compelling about an accreditation. I used to think that it was just, you know, a one-time event. But no, it's not. It should be a long-term process.
We have a term in higher education, continuous improvement.
Continuous improvement.
And that's what accreditation is to do. And the fact that there's a student who's coordinating it for us is a delightful thing here at AIIAS. You know, having our students take leadership while we're here, while they're here, and be part of the whole effort is a real joy. We need to do it more.
Thank you for giving the chance, for empowering your students.
Sure. Now, tell me long term. I asked you this when we sat down for this interview before we started taping. Long term, what are you planning to do?
Long term, we do want to serve the church. We don't know where. But one thing for sure is that, you see, I grew up in an Adventist setting. And I want to be part of that long term. I want to see other people being nurtured. I want to see my own family being nurtured in the church. And not so many people get the chance to do that. That's why we are here. We are preparing ourselves. We're not sponsored by an institution, but we are sponsored by God. So after this, wherever He points us, there we will go.
And I will tell you that we who have worked with you here are excited to see what that will be. Not quite as excited as you and your husband are, but we know that He's leading you every step of the way.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your experience and your thoughts with us, Natasha.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you very much.